First of all, welcome to the call. For those who don't know me, my name's David Guest. I run Outcomes Business Group. We're hosting today's event, and I'm really excited about today's topic. One of the things that's most dear to my heart is this idea of the value proposition of your business. And I think too often we get sort of locked into working in our business and we forget that actually our business does have an intrinsic value to it. So today we've got three expert speakers that are going to help us understand the key elements to improving the value proposition, and specifically now in this economy that we're in right now, because I think it's more important now than ever to not get caught on the treadmill. A bit about us. Our company, Outcomes Business Group, has been around for this is our 21st year in business. Our vision is simple. It's reinvigorating the business dream. And I know for most people, when they go into business, they go in for all the right reasons. I actually might ask you to do this quickly into the chat box. What was the reason you went into business? What drove you to run your own business? Can I just get you in one or two words into the chat box? What made you go into your own business? And for us, it's always about reinvigorating this business dream. So freedom, awesome. We'll get a few more in as we go. Here's what I found, right? When we talk to business owners, and I've been talking to a lot of business owners over my time, what we see is most businesses look a bit like this, right? Most people say we're flat out, we're busy, we've got too much on, we've got all this sort of stuff. Then when we talk a bit more about the business, they do their admin in their after hours time, so usually early in the morning or late at night. And sales and marketing is small. And for most people, when I ask them about sales and marketing, they say we don't need to. We get all our work from word of mouth. And so we have more than we can handle. Now, the reason they say we've got more than we can handle is because they're busy, right? And the reason they're busy is they are the center of the universe in their business. Freedom, impact, what do we got here? I'm a terrible employed person. I need to be my own boss. Yep, to serve people with purpose, awesome. We got some really good feedback here, demonstrating my love gift. Love that one. So here we go. We go into business for all these reasons, and sometimes what happens is the business takes control, and it's a bit like a 4-year-old taking a Great Dane for a walk. The question is who's walking who, right? So the business takes control, and sometimes we don't end up where we wanted to be because we get hijacked. And one of the reasons is we're stuck in this business. We're stuck in the center of this business. Now, the ideal business looks a bit more like this, right? So they've got operations, they've got admin, and they've got sales and marketing in an equal proportion. And it actually runs like a Swiss watch. But the main element that's different is this. The business owner realizes that being in the business is probably not the best place to be. Now, I don't mind working in a business. I don't mind being self-employed. But I think a lot of people don't recognize self-employment for what it is, which is a job with irregular hours and irregular pay. When we start building a business, we can keep it as a job with irregular hours and irregular pay, and that's okay. Or we can start building an asset. Now, when we talk about improving the value proposition of your business, the question is, how do we make our business more valuable? And we're going to answer that question today. So we've got three speakers that are going to be talking today, and they're going to be talking about three different elements that are critical for growing the value of your business. Now, I was going to summarize it in 3 words. The first thing I'd say is that you must have a marketing system. Okay. And what I mean by that is, for those people who say, I don't need to market, most of my work comes from word of mouth. What I often hear is that I'm too busy already and I don't need a massive number of new clients coming on board. And that's an indicator of self-employment to me. Now, that's fine if you're just working for money, but if you're building an asset that you want to sell, you need to have more clients coming in and you need to have higher caliber clients coming in. And most people don't realize marketing is not just about lead gen. It's also about brand differentiation, which means being able to charge the right price. So if you're in a price competitive market, marketing can solve that problem for you. The second element that we're going to be talking about today is, I just hate it when it does that, is your tech stack. Now, one of the things that has happened over COVID is technology has been embraced by every single business owner, and those who haven't have fallen by the wayside. And a few comments have been made about how tech is going right now. And the truth of the matter is the last 2 years of technological implementation, not innovation, but implementation in business, has probably surpassed the last 20 years, right? And what I mean by that is now we use Zoom all the time. And we use Zoom all the time, not because we have to, because we lock down, but because of convenience, because of leverage, because of cost reduction. There's so many other reasons that we're using it that I don't believe things like that will go away. So we've got Tom, who's going to be talking about the tech side of things to show you what's on the agenda for tech and what you should be embracing if you haven't reviewed that. The last piece of this puzzle, we're also going to be talking about your systems. Now, did it again. Systems. Now, in business, when we think about it, when you go to sell your business, there's only two assets that you're ever going to sell. One is your client base. So this is where the marketing kicks in, which I'm not going to do this anymore. It's not working for me, so I'm not going to do it. Is your marketing, so building your database, building your client base. So people buy your business for what it's currently transacting. The second thing that people are looking for is your business system. And this is why McDonald's commands such a high value when they sell a McDonald's franchise. They're not selling clients to you, they're selling a business system. But when we look at businesses, they're the two assets that we need to be talking about. So today, during our keynote presenters, you're going to learn a lot about this. Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce our first presenter, Craig Nadeau. So Craig Nadeau works with Zip Media. You there, Craig?
I am, David.
Awesome. There he is, looking good. Craig's going to be talking to us about the digital evolution of marketing and what you need to be aware of right now in the current economy. So if you'd like to give Craig a nice warm welcome, let's give him a nice round of applause and get him onto the major screen. Over to you, Craig.
Thanks, David. I'll just share my screen now. Can I confirm that you can see my screen, David?
You have to switch.
Again, thank you. How's that?
You're good.
A great start again. All right. Thank you, everyone. What I'd like to talk to you today is how to improve the value proposition of your business in 2022. So my name's Craig Nadeau. I'm a partner and consultant at Zip Digital. We're a full-service digital agency based in Cremorne. Now, I've had over 20 years of experience in digital. I've worked with agencies such as Zip, Digital 360 and Engine Room, and some of the major media corps, so Census and News Corp. So my agenda today is going to include your website, best practice, thinking mobile, page speed, why page speed is so important, page speed fixes, brand messaging, why singular strategies no longer work, and just a new one, TikTok. Okay, so your website tells me everything about your business. And Google tells us that we only have 3 seconds to win businesses, or sorry, to win customers. And they decide whether to stay on your website or leave within 3 seconds. So if your website's got a slow load time, if you're using poor images that haven't been optimized, if it's hard to navigate, and if it's not mobile friendly, guess what? People leave. So to help you improve your value proposition, you need to spend some time in thought, time and money. Because in 2022, first impressions count. There are no more excuses. So if you think about it, you've only got 3 seconds to win a customer before they decide to stay on your website or leave. So, best practice or industry standard. These are the two scenarios that will help you succeed in 2022. So ideally, you are a best practice or an industry standard website. So best practice, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Your website generally is the best website within your industry vertical. So when your prospects are doing their research, they pick up on the clear and crisp images. They will see the great design layouts, strong call to actions, and that in turn will lead to your customers within 3 seconds making that decision to stay or leave. Now, best practice websites have a much higher conversion rate. The consumer will also have a perception of the value being higher and the product or service being a higher end and premium in nature. Industry standard websites, this is the bare minimum that are required to be successful in 2022. So anything worse And unfortunately, you're going to have a high bounce rate and low conversion rates. So industry standard websites, I should say, are typically templated with simple navigation, high quality images, and whoops, sorry, I skipped too far then, have clean and crisp navigation flows. Now, the reason why you need to have this is because your website is your hardest working salesperson. It never sleeps. It has a consistent and clear message. It doesn't take any annual leave. It rarely gets sick, can highlight your business, best assets and language. So it's time to respect it, invest in it, support it, and help it assist you with your digital marketing strategies in 2022. Now, in 2022, we need to be thinking mobile first, desktop second, because desktop is becoming irrelevant as the first touch point in 2022. More than ever, 70% of all searches are started from a mobile phone. And in some circumstances, especially in B2C, it's the product or a service and they tap on a location. So if you're thinking of plumber, you might have to think plumber Port Melbourne or builder Brighton or an electrician near me. They're the phrases that people are typing in. So mobile first thinking ensures that your consumers, sorry, I'm just going to move the screen, will have the best result when they're going and having a look at your website. It's absolutely crucial that you get this right. You need to have mobile design and navigation put in place so that consumers can easily navigate through the website and find everything that they need. Now, when you get this right, and if the consumer needs further information and they need to do a second search, that's when they go to your desktop. And that's when it's important to have your desktop set up beautifully as well. So make sure you get your user experience right so that when they come to your website, they stay and they interact with you. Now, one of the most underappreciated and overlooked aspect of the business is the website speed. It's a common mistake for businesses as you can build these beautiful aesthetics, have great functionality, have really crisp and clean images, but without a fast loading and seamless website, guess what? It all goes to waste. So to give you more context, and again to reiterate, it takes 3 seconds or more for a website to load, and just over half of your potential traffic will leave if it doesn't load quickly. So Google has told us that websites should optimally load at 3 seconds. And this is a page speed that you should be aiming for, which is alarming because a scary fact is the average Australian website loads at 20 seconds. Okay, so why is a website's load time such a big deal? Well, firstly, it directly affects your SEO. Page speed is now a ranking factor and it can negatively impact on your SEO rankings if you neglect it. So although it's amongst other ranking factors that Google takes into consideration, it's foolish to ignore it, as normally it's quite an easy fix once the issues have been identified. So one of the things is, if you had a choice of writing lots of blog content, doing optimizations on meta titles and descriptions, or improving your page speed, it's the page speed that should be winning hands down. Now, this is one thing that every person hates. It's long load times. And what happens if your website loads at a poor speed? You just jump off and you go to the next website. So what we know is that, or Aberdeen research, I should say, points out that for every second in load time speed, your conversions drop by a crazy 16%. So when you start to add several load time seconds, guess what? you can imagine how the numbers start to stack up against you and your website. And this in turn leads to sales performance. So if you've got an e-commerce website, you have a low conversion rate. If you've got a standard website, you have a low conversion rate in lead numbers and lead generation. And unfortunately today, 40% of customers are prepared to talk poorly about their online experience. So they'll complain, they'll leave poor reviews, which in turn impacts on your ability to get recommendations. Now, the good thing is there are some simple fixes for page loading times. So one of the options is optimizing images. So you need to compress your images, but have them optimized for web. So if you don't have Photoshop, there are some sites out there that can help. So things like Tiny PNG or Image Optimum will do the trick. The next trick is caching. Cache. Most websites, content management systems, will have a caching plugin or a tool which helps you avoiding dynamically generating each page each and every time it loads. Another problem that we can help you avoid is avoid overloading your website with redirects. Piling big amounts of 301 redirects on a website will confuse the browser and make it slower as it searches through old destinations to finally get you to your desired destination. And finally, for the heavier trafficked websites, you can let your network do the bulk of the work. Now, this is using a tool called Content Delivery Network, and it's particular products like Cloudflaring, which give your website faster access to a server in the actual user's area, so it adds to faster load times. Now, these aren't all the fixes, and there will be some slightly more technical work involved in getting your website down to an optimal speed, but the effort's so worth it because it's worth its weight in gold so that you can improve your SEO, user experience and conversions by giving your website some sorely needed TLC. And another aspect today, which is critical, is that websites that speak to everyone don't speak to anyone. So from a recent paper that Shopify produced, it says to have cut through in 2022, we need to be ultra focused on who we are talking to. And whilst this doesn't mean to the exclusion of all others, once we really narrow down and focus to the exact individual that we're targeting, it'll really resonate with them and hit them between the eyes as the brands that understand them get the work. So you have to know your customer. You need to know where they shop. What books do they read? Whom do they aspire to be like in both business and life? What brands do they wear? What sports do they go to? Do they have a family? Do they live rurally or in an apartment? Because once you know this information, you can then nail your branding so that when your ideal customer lands on your website, they feel a sense of connection. Because you're talking about the exact things that they like. You're talking about the brands that they like. You now have their attention. And since the pandemic, most, if not all of your competitors are now online and doing varying degrees of this. So imagine you've done all the hard work above and you've got your branding right, you've got a strong message in place. Guess what? Your consumer is going to have better brand recall, much more trust, which in the end means more business in 2022. Now, what we've found, the research shows that in 2022, it's going to be the most competitive time in digital. Most of your competitors are now implementing strategies across Google, social and email. Because many shop fronts were closed during the pandemic necessity, and the internet has been one of the only things open for the last 2 years. It's really critical that you have more than one strategy. So relying on one method just won't cut the custard anymore. Sorry, I said custard, I meant to say mustard. You might be doing great SEO, and whilst SEO is still the king for conversion and traffic, Your competitors are running Google ads on your keywords. They're retargeting on your social. They're entering the race for your customers much earlier in the process, and they're getting their brand in front of them before you. So Google Ads and SEO are the perfect 1-2 combination as a minimum level of investment. Your Google Ads can be more dynamic and nimble. You can dial up the spend, you can dial down the spend. You can change and test the ad text within minutes so that you are quickly changing to the consumer needs. And SEO is the foundation. It's the bedrock. It's the earned right to be number one for your category, but it takes time. But it's the best long-term strategy and gives you great insurance against the rising costs of clicks and competition. And one other thing to factor in is your exit strategy. So when it comes time to sell or exit your business, by having a good digital marketing strategy, it becomes a genuine asset of ranking across the search engines, which is significant. You can't start a new business and jump immediately into number one organically. It takes time. And finally, TikTok. Unfortunately, or fortunately for business owners, the numbers on TikTok cannot be ignored. 2022 is going to be the year that TikTok explodes. Some businesses feel that they may have already missed the boat. Some still have doubts. That'll help you grow. But let me tell you that this will change your business in so many ways if you build a consistent strategy on TikTok. And the reason why is that the average user is spending 91 minutes a day on TikTok. Let that sink in. That's 91 minutes a day of consuming video and audio. Facebook's average daily usage is 60 minutes. Instagram is 32 minutes. So people check Facebook, they scroll on Insta, but they consume video content on TikTok. So it's now time to learn the platform and work out ways to advertise and promote your business that's native to the platform and not disruptive to the user experience. No one likes being disrupted, especially when it comes to a platform like TikTok, where you go for entertainment, be it for a laugh or to research a brand or skill, or just to keep up with new trends. So if you're in marketing, you'll be asked about it this year. If you're a business owner, you want to learn how to promote yourself on the platform, because in years to come, it's going to be the best thing out there in the marketplace. So why not start now? So thank you, everyone. Really appreciate the opportunity to have a chat to you about getting the basics in place for 2022 to ensure your digital marketing success.
Awesome. Let's give, sorry, Craig.
Sorry, I was just going to finish off with, if you need some help, or if you want to review your website load speeds, we've got some tools at Zip Digital where we can compare your load speed to your competitors and give you a report on how we can fix your load speed. And the other option is, I found this really cool digital trends article for 2022. So if you'd like to know more about that, please just drop a note into the chat box. Let me know if you'd like some help with your load speed, so type in speed or top 10 for digital trends in 2022. Thank you very much for your time.
Before we go, Craig, you got a really good question. You didn't mention LinkedIn.
I didn't mention LinkedIn. Well, I use LinkedIn personally and I love it, but you've got to have a good strategy in place and it's got to be organic. You can't afford to use bots out there. And unfortunately, you're going to have to go wide for LinkedIn to build your network, and then you need a nurture strategy in place to grow the engagement of that network. Does that answer the question, David?
Yeah, I think the question was, how much time do people spend on LinkedIn on average per day?
I don't have that number in front of me. I can quickly research it for you.
Yeah, I'll tell you just, I don't have the stats, but I know this, right? Social media is a platform of consumption. And what a lot of people are doing is they're using LinkedIn because it's a professional network. And I think that's a valid target market. That's a valid space to go fishing. But the thing we found with the TikTok and Facebook is it's a consumption for entertainment, and people are using these things outside of their business hours. So when you are trying to catch new people, so you're looking to capture their attention, you can then feed into their consumption. So they might be looking at funny TikTok videos, and this is why I think the 93 minutes a day or 91 minutes a day you mentioned is so true, is people get hooked into video. Facebook's trying to do the same thing with their video strategy. So if you can get into those feeds, you're grabbing some of people's attention. Is there an age demographic for TikTok? I wish I could answer that, but I think what Craig's saying is so true. I've met people who are on TikTok that I did not expect. So middle-aged people are using TikTok. There's a few different options around there.
I think the thing to consider with that one too, David, is when Facebook first came out, people were very skeptical about it.
Yeah.
The same with Instagram. And now they're very similar to the skepticism on TikTok. The fact of the matter is that the consumers are out there and they're spending on 91 minutes consuming video. So if you can use the platform in a way that's native and non-disruptive, you're going to be able to make an impact.
Awesome. Everyone, let's give Craig a warm thank you for his valuable information. What I'd like to do right now is we're going to go out into some breakout rooms so you can meet some people, because it's one thing to sit there staring at a screen and present it all day, but I think one of the most valuable parts of using these channels, such as Zoom, is to actually meet some new people and understand a bit more about them. Just before we do go to the break, I just want to talk about what I'd like you to discuss during the break. There's three things. The first one is introduce yourself, which I hope you all do. The second one is, what did you get out of Craig's presentation? The third one is, I want you to think about your current business status, because generally speaking, when we look at businesses, they're in one of three levels. They're generally running around trying to make ends meet, chaos to control, or they're in growth phase. Now, you might be in growth phase right now in your business, which means you're looking for ways to get new business in the front door and you're looking for ways to scale your team. Or you're in that situation where we talk about the value proposition of your business and we're talking about, how do I leverage myself out? How do I make the business more valuable without working any harder? So I want you to think about which one of those three levels you might be at right now, but probably more importantly, what is your aspiration for 2022? So we're going to go into the breakout rooms of 6. I'd like you to introduce yourself. What did you learn from Craig? And where do you see yourself taking your business for the next 12 months? So we're going to do this for 5 minutes. Is that all right, Eugene? 5-minute breakouts with 5 people in each room. So please, if you're in the call, unmute yourself, say good day to the people that are in the group with you. We're going to start the clock now. Eugene will also tell you when we're about halfway, so we make sure that you get through everybody, and we'll see you back in 5. So on the count of 3, just hit the join button. 1, 2, and go. So welcome back from the break. I think we've got everyone back in the room. Yes, we do. I am very excited. We got some great feedback. Yes. So we'd like to talk about our next presenter, Tom Freer. I had a few people in the meeting in our breakout room talking about the importance of speed. And really, if you've got a website that's 2 years or older, chances are that your competitors have upped their speed, which means your speed is down. So it is definitely worth checking your speed of website, having a chat with someone like Craig to understand how can you optimize and make sure that you're getting back into the rankings. Our next presenter, I'm very excited about because I'm a technology junkie myself. I used to be in IT and I used to love IT, and then it started moving too quickly for me. And the comment that I've heard mostly is in the last 2 years, the implementation of IT has probably surpassed the last 20. And I don't mean new technology, I mean using the technology. And so I think for people in business, if we're not looking at how we use our tech stack within our organization right now and what we should be looking for, we could be actually costing too much in our service delivery. We could be missing out on opportunity. So I'd like to welcome Tom Freer to the call. Are you there, Tom?
G'day, how you going?
Hey, there he is. And Tom's going to be talking about transforming your business with technology. So let's give Tom a nice warm welcome and get him to do his piece.
Thanks, everyone. I'll just get my Prezzo up here. Lovely. So thanks, everyone, for joining today. I'm going to be talking about we've got a process that we take our clients through, 6 steps to optimizing business process, and it covers a number of different areas. So I'll get into that in a moment. Just for those that don't know me, I'm Tom Freer. My business is Wintec, and I started this in 2010. We now support small and mid-sized organisations across Australia and a team of 20. So myself, I've been working in IT for over 25 years in different areas. So I've seen a lot of the changes. And back to David's comment, there has been a lot of change in a very short period of time over the last 2 years in how technology is being used and leveraged. And there's still massive amounts of opportunity there for businesses to really get on and use not only what they've got, but use the technology that's out there. So some of the key problems that we see around business process and technology and using that technology piece is that traditionally businesses have been built around people being in an office, being able to talk to each other, being able to pass that bit of paper across the cubicle, have that conversation next to the water cooler. We've relied on centralized systems and infrastructure. So again, being in the office to log onto your computer and access what it is that you need, which has allowed organizations to continue running what we call legacy applications and systems that are difficult to potentially access remotely and people on the go. And where we are today after the last 2 years is we're in sort of this, what we would call a hybrid model of workforce, where we need people to be able to, and our employees and our team to be able to work and engage regardless of where they are, be that in home, be that in the office, be that on client sites. And additionally, we need to be able to deliver our services to our clients regardless of where they are. So there's a couple of key things there. And this is where what we define as that new hybrid model coming into place. So a lot of the challenges that we see with organizations is legacy systems. So using older systems that aren't as flexible in the way they're deployed. There's unpredictability in costs, there's downtime, there's being able to manage those costs. So not only managing how much it is to deliver those systems and applications in the business, how much to support them. We don't want to be paying for downtime. So when we say that, it's these systems that you rely on today, if they go offline, that's a cost to your organization. Your team are potentially sitting around idle. So it's really understanding what that impact is. The management effort, how much time are you spending maintaining and managing those systems? Risk and exposure. So what are the risks of not only the technology in your organization, but the people, and more so the processes? What are the risks if systems fail, if people aren't available, those sort of things. So it's understanding those challenges inside your business is going to be really key. Strategic issues. So just looking at how can you better leverage, so sort of strategic issues and leveraging the technology that you've got or leveraging the technology that's out there. And lots of people have technology in their business. They're just not using it to the fullest extent. So you might be paying for a subscription or a license or whatever it is for a particular platform, but only using a really small part of that. So that's a real key driver that anyone can start looking at in their organization and their business to really understand the applications they're already running or already paying for and how they can be used more effectively. So business, from my perspective, really comes down to 3 key elements. You've got your people, your team, your clients, your customers. You've got the processes, so the functions that make up your service delivery. So how do you do things? How do we deliver widget XYZ? How do we deliver our service? And then we have technology. So the ultimate goal is to bring all these together so they're working hand in hand. So your people rely heavily on technology. You want your processes to leverage the technology, and then you want all of that to come together so it's relatively seamless in the organization. So that's really key. So when we're talking with our clients, it's really about understanding those 3 key elements and how they do work together. Because you can have the best documented process in the world, but if your people don't know how to find that process or simply aren't following it, it's not going to be effective. And that process may be heavily manual. So you're going to need more people if you're not leveraging technology. So we can start to see how these really start to tie together, and how we start to focus on improving the processes within your organization, to really build that value proposition, because that ultimately is what's going to drive your business to be more effective in what it does day to day, being more effective in delivering outcomes for your clients, and actually being more effective for your team and your people to use it so they can deliver higher output. And that's the ultimate goal in everything that we try to look at through this process of improving the processes. Too many processes in that sentence. So what is process improvement? It's really about saving time for your team, saving time for your business, saving time for your customers. I think a big thing is looking at removing manual repetitive tasks. There's many things that we do on a day-to-day basis that we could put a process around to make it more efficient, to make it easier potentially for someone else to do so we can grow and scale, or we can get that to be done automatically through systems and technology. We want to optimize the information flow. So how do we make sure that we're getting the bits and the info between people, between clients more effectively, and optimize that? One key thing, it's about replacing human labor, not replacing jobs. I think that's a real key thing that people get a little bit afraid of when we talk about business improvement and process optimization, is that, oh, we're going to replace all of our team, or our team gets scared of that, in that they're potentially going to lose their jobs. And it's not about that in most cases. It's about replacing what they're doing to allow your team to develop. And that's what we want to strive towards, is allowing our team to develop and do more things better that are more valuable to your business in that sense. So how do we actually go about that? We've got a 6-step process really that we take people through. And a lot of it's around just really looking inside the business initially. And that's where we start. It's about looking and assessing your current business goals and needs. What is it you're trying to do with your business? Do we actually need to do more with less? Do we need to be more effective in the way we deliver our services? As a business, do we want to scale and grow? Do we want to be doing more for more people? What's that going to need? All these sort of things. So really understanding clearly what it is you are trying to do in your business. And at this point, I think just put a comment in there. I'd like to know, when was the last time you really sat down and looked at what it is you're really trying to achieve inside your business to go forward? Taking that time, whether it's an hour, a day, a weekend, to really think about what you're trying to do, because I think that's the first thing everyone needs to sort of consider, is we don't want to be doing things for the sake of doing things. So we want to know what the end goal is. What are we trying to achieve? So once we've sort of got that in place, and we know at that level where we're going with the business and what we want to do, it's really looking at, we look and try and identify the key functions in your business. What are the things that drive your business and make it tick? Are you a organization that delivers consulting services? Are you an organization that builds a widget? Are you a consumer retail store? Whatever it is, identify the key functions that you would be doing on a day-to-day basis to deliver that output. You'll have a list of them. There'll be a sales function, there'll be a marketing function, there'll be a manufacturing process, there might be a process around how you deliver the service, you might be an accountant, you might be a lawyer, there'll be processes around how you deliver the outcomes for your clients. As an IT provider, our key outcomes are around how we deliver service, how we respond to events and incidents. So identify everything, write it all down, get the list. And you'll know when you look at it, what are the 3 most frustrating processes you've got in your business? And frustration might be, that you can do that better or more efficiently. It might be a process that just isn't working. It is clunky. It might not be delivering a consistent outcome internally or for your clients. So take the time, write down your big long list, and then really pick out those top 3, because they're the ones where you're going to start to get the most value out of from day one as we go through this process. Now, this is where things we really need to spend some time, and within the business, this is the area that you really need to focus on, because as the business owner, as the leader of your team or your division, or however you're structuring your business, you know how the process runs, and you and your team know the outcomes that need to be achieved. So it's at this point where you actually need to document that process end to end, and that's really about starting. We say start on a whiteboard. Get a couple of markers, make sure they're not permanent. Get your whiteboard out and map this out. What's the start? What comes in? What's the input? What are the steps? You'll be surprised and how often this is missed when we're trying to improve process. A lot of people go, well, here's the 3 processes I want to do, and they jump straight to the how do we make this how do we automate this process? How do we get technology to do it? Well, that's not going to work until you actually know today how it works in your business. Now, this documentation process initially isn't about improving it. It's just knowing how you do it today. Because once you get this laid out, even on a whiteboard, you will soon start to see where there are gaps, where are there areas that you can improve on. And that's where we step into our sort of step 4, which is you'll know what's working, what's not working. How do we refine the process as it sits today? And again, I'll take this. This is not a technology discussion at this point in a lot of cases. This is about looking at your process and saying, oh, okay, well, we can make this bit better over here. And it might be as simple as let's put a checklist in place that our team need to follow. Or we've got this function over here that we might need to change the person that's doing it or give them some extra support. And then we can move to the where can technology help? So we then know we have a process, we've refined that process. We know that it works from a day-to-day, okay, we're getting a reasonably consistent outcome now, and it's working. Now, this is where we start to plug in the technology area. And this is about looking at that process that is working in your business and how do we make it more efficient? How do we make it more automated? How do we make it more consistent in the outcome? And the key thing here is there's going to be a lot of times where you don't automate or electronify or technologify the whole process, because that's not where you want to get to. You want to start picking out those key areas where there's a repetitive function is a really good place to start. That a repetitive, a mundane task that someone's doing, and they're probably doing it well, but they're probably more effective doing something else in the business. So let's take that component of the process and wrap technology around that and go, right, we might have a manual 3 steps that lead up to it. Someone inputs it into a function, then technology does another 3/4 of the process, and then the final output is what needs to be done. So where can technology assist inside the process, or the whole process if you can, but look at where it can assist. And it's going to be then looking at, do you have the technology in-house already? And in a lot of cases, I would say there's a lot of technology you're using today, you're already paying for, that you could actually start to leverage more effectively. There'll be components in that suite of products you might have that you're not using or you don't know about, that could potentially drive some of this automation, this technology, the information capture side of things. Because once we start capturing information electronically and moving it around electronically, our team can actually be anywhere. It doesn't matter where they are. There's no physical paper that needs to be picked up from someone's inbox. There's no tap on the shoulder, hey, can you start this process now? The more we can start to get in to a technology platform, the more information we can capture electronically, the easier it is to be able to run our businesses and deliver the services and outcomes, regardless of where we are or where our team are. Now, and this really drives home that ability to have a hybrid workplace where your team can work and deliver outcomes regardless of where they are. And your business doesn't have a bottleneck, so to speak, around, oh, gee, I've actually got to have someone physically go and get that bit of paper or physically put a signature on that bit of paper before it can step off. Use tools like Adobe Sign and DocuSign, where we're electronic signatures, speed up that process. Use automation tools that are in platforms that allow us to capture on electronic form, save the data, and then move the data around. So these are the type of areas to really focus on. But I really stress that we cannot get good return on this step 5 unless we actually know how our processes work today. And I think that's really key. And then the final step is really about how do we design that? How do we implement that? How do we refine that through the business? And that process will then continue in a circular motion. You won't stop at that process and go, well, great, I've got that process and it's nailed. It might be working really, really well, but you want to come back and just make sure and check, refine, tweak, tune, and then add another process into the mix. So that's what we do. And that's what you can be looking at doing anytime within your business. Steps 1 through to 4 is something that you should be looking at today, regardless of the technology that you can potentially leverage. Once you get there, you can start to leverage that technology. And that's the key element. So, and this is just an example. It doesn't have to be detailed. It doesn't have to make sense to anyone else. As long as it makes sense to you initially about how a process works, put it up on a whiteboard, markers, red pens, green pens, whatever it is, go through. That's one we did for a client a while ago. We worked through with a client, mapped it out on their whiteboard, and then we turn it into something that makes a little bit more sense when we want to start implementing technology. But that's how it needs to be done and how you start doing it. You'll then start to document further detail around the workings and the standard operating processes within your business. But you can get to these points really, really quickly. And then what you'll see is you'll be ensuring there's an increased speed and reliability in those processes, and users have confidence in your system. You'll have confidence as your business leader, as the owner, that your investment in technology is actually driving value through the business, not just buying technology for technology's sake and having it sit there. You'll know that you can start to leverage it and improve those outcomes. And you're actually starting to align IT to your business outcomes. That becomes very consistent and very close in that alignment. So your business can start to really leverage that, and you'll have consistency in the processes and consistency in the outcomes. And that's really key, is we want to make sure that we're delivering consistency. So where do you start? Look, the easiest place is to really start looking at the one process in your business. If you do nothing else this week, I would suggest find that one process in your business that really frustrates you. You'll already know what it is. It'll be the thing you come home and swear about every day. So just identify that, document it on a whiteboard, map it out, plan it out, do whatever, refine it with your team, refine it yourself, just to improve what you've got there currently. Then you can start to think about where technology can really help and leverage that, and really start to drive that home. So look, that's it in a nutshell. Those sort of key 6 areas. This is something you can actually start today. You don't need to go buy anything. You might need to buy some whiteboards and some pens, but you don't need to go and invest in any technology. You don't need to consult anywhere. You can do a lot of this yourself because you already know it. Map it out. Then you can start to engage the people that you need to help you improve it, to help you make it electronic and get it into that automation, business process optimization component. Thank you. And that's me. So look, one thing, if you've got any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn or on email. But one thing we've identified over the last couple of years that technology really has changed. And we've written an ebook around the top IT challenges that we're starting to see with organizations today, both from a transition through what we've been through the last 2 years, but more so how to really set themselves up and what they need to be focusing on to drive business for the years to come, and how to really leverage that technology in your business. So thank you very much.
Guys, let's give Tom a nice round of applause. Awesome. I get excited when I hear about tech because I know it's a big leverage point for people in business. And I think today when we talk about value proposition, a lot of people say, oh, we're going well, we're doing okay, we're busy. It's only when you start trying to improve how you deliver your service that you start to see changes in the actual value proposition of your business. So we're about to go to another quick breakout. We're going to make this one a little bit shorter, I think, huge. Let's make it 5, where you're going to meet some new people, hopefully. We're going to mix and match. And I want you to really talk about what did you get out of Tom's presentation? What have you gotten out of Craig's presentation? But I just want to introduce this guy. If you haven't seen this guy before, his name's Wilfredo Pareto, and he created this thing called the 80-20. Now, when I hear Tom say you need to do these things, most people's response is, I don't have the time. So I want you to think about in your world right now, in your business, what is the 20% of the things you should be doing more of, right, that are going to produce 80% of the results? And what are the 20% of things you should be stopping doing right now in your day? And I just want you to have a chat around that in the breakout room. What do you think you should be doing more of? What do you think you should be doing less of? We're going to put you into groups of 5, Huge, is that right? Yep, let's get you guys meeting some new people, and we'll see you back here in 5 minutes. All righty. We're getting everyone back in the room. I think we've got everyone back in the room. Amazing. Okay, I've met some new people. Very interesting who you get to meet during those breakouts. Who met some awesome people during the breakout, just to show of hands? Yeah, we used to not do breakouts, and I realized that was probably the most important part of all these. Right, of all of these presentations is meeting some new people. But we're going to move to our last presenter, and by no means our least presenter. Some of you know Kerry-Ann Nelson quite well. Can I have a show of hands for those who are Kerry-Ann followers? Wow. Right. She's charismatic. She's amazing. She's got a great story. I'm not going to introduce her any much more better than that. I think you know who she is. Her message is pretty simple. It's leading your team for unlimited business expansion. I think during the break, I met a couple of people and they've got a great message. They have a fantastic message. One of the issues we have is how do we leverage ourselves? And I think Kerry-Ann has an amazing story to tell and an amazing system that she's going to talk about. So let's give her a nice warm welcome. Go, Kerry-Ann. Are you there?
Thank you, everyone. Yes, I'm here. Can you see me and hear me?
I can see you and hear you.
Excellent. And I just need to, I'll quickly say hi first before I share my screen. Thank you so much. I feel like I'm in a room full of my friends. It is so wonderful that everyone's come here today. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you, David, so much for inviting me. It's turned out really, really well. I just love that I get to follow Tom because the presentation there taps into so much of the stuff that I do with my clients and, of course, in my own business. And I love what Tom said, that there's no real point introducing the tech until you know exactly what the process is and make sure you've refined what the humans do. And so that's a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today. So I will share my screen. Can I just have a show of hands to make sure you can see my screen? Yes. Okay. We're all good. Excellent. Okay. So my business is called Operation Verve, and my presentation today is called How to Lead Your Team for Unlimited Business Expansion. The whole theme of this event is about value adding in your business, tapping into that value in your business. And I believe wholeheartedly that the core of the value in your business is unlocked by the people in your team. It may not be your value proposition, but it's absolutely going to be delivered and unlocked by the people working in your team. So I wonder, as a business owner, I'd like you to put this in the chat, actually. I've got the chat open here so I can see you. What do you think a truly valuable business is? How do you measure the value? Is it time? Is it money? Client satisfaction? I'd love to hear some people's ideas of what does value mean in business? Because it's a very personal thing. Now we're all thinking. I'm going to give some thinking time. Only a second. It's a tricky question, isn't it? But see, it's really important to have this really clear. Love that, Philip, reputation. Because if we know what we really think value is, then we can go about setting up to obtain that value and to deliver that value. So the value of the client. Nice, Ash. Retraining your clients. Oh, that's interesting. Retraining your clients long term. I suspect you mean creating change in your clients, Arvind. So they're great. Really, really valuable. Okay, I see. I need to go like that. All right, I get it. how do you think your team now, another question, creating outcomes, perfect, Maureen. How do you think your team measures how valuable your business is to them? Because and so this is not a rhetorical question. You go right ahead and answer that for me in the chat. Because if your team are going to be the ones that really unlock and deliver that value, then they have to perceive the value in your business as well. So they are fundamental questions to being able to really nail so that we know exactly what that value is and how to bring that out the best. I've just looked at the time, 10:10, 10:25 is where I'm headed to. Excellent. Where they feel their importance, satisfaction, yes, creating outcomes. Sandy says, yes, yes. When your team feels valued, then you deliver value in your business. Really, really good. Now, I can tell you now that a valuable business is not one where all the knowledge of how things work are stored in people's heads. And we've seen some of that from Genius Tom today. A valuable business is not one where the business owner is stuck on the tools all day long. Show of hands if sometimes you feel like that happens in your business. I've got to be honest, sometimes that happens to me as well, for sure. And a valuable business is not one where the only person who can make decisions in the business is the owner. And that's really, really important. Now, for me, this is a picture that I have on my computer desk, like screensaver, and it's my vision of my business. I believe that all businesses should be built with the ultimate aim of exponential growth. And for me in my business, I'm aiming for a global business where people are using systems and processes that connect them with the world and that I'm connected with the world. For a business to be truly valuable, it has to be able to literally expand without limits. And if your business can't do that yet, that's okay. But I believe with all my heart, that's what the purpose of a business is meant to be. If you're not aiming to build a business that can expand without limits, then you might want to reshift that vision. Now with shift modes, I want to tell you a little bit about my story so you know where I'm coming from here today. So these days, what I'm doing is helping people to develop their own systems and processes in their business by running online courses. I also do some work one-to-one with my clients. And I do that so that I can get alongside, because there's no such thing as a cookie cutter system that actually works. Every business is unique. Every process that is built has to serve unique outcomes with unique people. And so I just love bringing out the best in people and making sure that they are really delivering those outcomes and creating value for the business owner. Now, before that, I used to run a lot more face-to-face workshops, but of course, we're not in that world anymore, and those things don't happen quite as much. Before that, last year, in the first year of lockdown, I married my beautiful husband, Rod Turner. We met when I was 17 years old. He was my first boyfriend, and life fortuitously has brought us around to this lovely, lovely space that I share with him now. Before that, we run an event centre in Camberwell, one of the worst business decisions I ever made in my life. Didn't make a cent, cost a lot of money, spent a stack of money in fit out, and then never made it back. So we all make mistakes, but they ran like a machine, let me tell you. And in that event centre, of course, I ran stacks of events there myself and really built a beautiful community. Before that, I wrote my first book called Creating Your Infinite Self, which, Maureen, I know you're reading at the moment. And before that, I did a lot of walking and reflecting in preparations to writing that book. Before that, I really launched myself in my speaking career and did everything I could to get into great speaking gigs to share the message that I'm here sharing with you now. And that was when I was doing my training for that speaking. Before that, I actually went on a 3-week holiday to New York with my kids, and it was absolutely wonderful. That's us at Grand Central Station. And before that, the reason I could do all of these things is because I started out in an e-commerce business called Vacuum Spot. And my husband and I built that literally from scratch. We started out in an eBay store. We moved into our garage, which is where we did our order fulfillment. And then from there, we built it up. That was in Wagga. Then we moved through into Melbourne. opened a warehouse there, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. But the problem with the vacuum spot business was the way that we ran it was completely inefficient. And so I've learned some really hard lessons in the School of Hard Knocks, believe you me. And the problem with this business was that it ended up turning over $1 million in revenue. And that sounds like a lot of money for a lot of people, right? And yet we did not make a cent of profit. We were just in the horrible, horrible hamster wheel. And unfortunately, that meant that my husband of 12 years passed away in 2002. And that happened because of the stress that he was under in our business, the loss of identity. You know, when you can't make it in your business and you just feel crushed. He was literally lost and had a heart attack. And it was a horrible, horrible end to a really beautiful and very powerful life. There's me sharing at the funeral, and there's me on our property looking after what I needed to do myself. Now, my journey, we got married in 2002, just super quick. And then by the end of that in 2000, and we did business. All the time we did business together. That was him getting a Chamber of Commerce award in Wagga Wagga for the Godfrey's franchise that we opened up. So I've done all sorts of stuff. Vacuum cleaner businesses really suck. Ha ha. But in terms of online, it was fabulous because people wanted to buy their stuff. It wasn't that the online business wasn't great. It's that because everyone wants to buy their stuff online, no one goes out to go shopping for vacuum cleaner bags. And so it turned out really, really well on that front. But the problem, of course, is that it didn't make any money because of the inefficiencies. That I was left all those years later in a business that I literally needed to pack up, decentralize, and clean house. Now, like I said, I was not in a profitable business situation, so I did not have any asset to sell. And so what I've learned is, and what I pass on now to my clients is exactly how to bring out the value in your business by creating really efficient systems and processes. And so that was the makeover I did in the warehousing part of my business. And certainly the back end of that looked like stacks of what Tom said, documenting operations manuals, getting the tech working really well. And so, like I said, I know from the School of Hard Knocks what not to do, and now I'm starting to get it right and what to do here. But from a system point of view, that was really the starting point. So let's talk about your journey to unlimited business expansion, unlocking the value of your business. We all start out with ambition, and that looks like stacks of money, a growing business, lifestyle choices, travel, family, celebrations. We all want that. But very quickly in our businesses, we can find that we start to become a prisoner, sometimes of our own success, where we're just starting to get good clients. We're getting some runs on the board. Our business is really starting to grow. But all that happens is that we get pushed into a kind of lockdown, I guess, in our business where we are trapped in our business. Now, who knows what that feels like? Show of hands. It is horrible to be tied to your business. It's a horrible, horrible feeling. And so then so I've got pictures for this. So hang on, share. It looks like that. It looks like that, an absolute mess. It looks like trying to get work done, and that parent guilt, that parent guilt of, I've got to do work, but I love my kids and I don't want to be in two places at once. And Paulina messaged me earlier saying, I wish I could be in two places at once. And I'm absolutely sure that we all know what that feels like. And it looks like those hard days and hard nights sitting at our computer trying to make it work. And so we have to stage our own breakout. Now, to do this breakout, what do? We fix up our systems. We go ahead and we start to plug in new tech. We think an app is going to do it. A better checkout is going to do it. A website upgrade is going to do it. A new plugin is going to do it. We're going to automate our LinkedIn messaging, which I've tried 3 times. And I'm never doing it again. We do all of these little tech things to try to make it work. But like Tom said, if you don't really understand your process, the tech isn't going to fix anything because you don't really know what the problem is that you're trying to fix. And it also looks like bringing on more team members. If we want to get out of this prison, it means fixing up your tech and employing more team members. And so we get busy doing those things, and we work really, really hard at that. And unfortunately, what can often happen is that we get so busy adding and adding and adding, layering on more stuff. And all we do is create a business that I describe like a runaway train. And that looks like massive communication problems. Hello, are you there? What are you trying to say to me? Sorry, the call's cutting out. Oh, I misunderstood your email. Massive communication problems in this runaway train business that has got away from us. And it looks like disengaged team members, especially if people are working remotely, which the vast majority of us are doing either full-time or part-time now. We've got employees that they don't know what they're meant to be doing. They don't know when they're meant to be showing up, and they're bored, they're disenfranchised, they're frustrated. It also looks like absolute confusion and stress for everyone. And that's what your runaway train situation is. It's absolutely awful. Now, I love when I meet people who are in that runaway train stage of life. And the reason is that that's what I'm here to help do. So before, when we asked the question of what do David had the 3 levels, I love creating that very first thing, unlocking that growth phase. Doing that bottom layer, because you want to grow, well, you need to have the systems and you need to activate your people to do that and bring out the value. That is the only way to create a business freedom machine. That means you've got happy team members, happy clients, you've got happiness in your life. You get to spend time with your family without feeling guilty, and you get to really enjoy that freedom that so many of us signed up to business for. This really is the difference between survival, growth, and scaling. Interestingly, 60% of businesses fail, 17% of franchises do. What's the difference? Maybe it's that systemized approach. 2/3 of businesses with staff last at least 2 years. So the faster you can get staff on, the better. 250% more revenue comes from businesses that get busy scaling, preparing to scale and getting busy doing it. And 360% of user growth can come. That's an increase in user growth. You want more people to access your stuff, set up to scale. Skip the small business phase, just start building systems to scale. Keys to unlimited business expansion. What do you need? You need an ambitious vision. I'll show you the pictures. It's sort of self-explanatory. You need to have really clearly focused goals. You need to put those goals on a planner, and you need to have a checklist to show you exactly how you're achieving those goals. You need a culture of change, embracing exactly all those divergent thinking needs to come into play. You need to have a culture of change that embraces taking big leaps and doing things a different way if you want to unlock the true value of your business. You need to take on more systems and change the way that things are being done. But like Tom pointed out, you need to do that from a people place first before you start to introduce more tech, bringing people together. You need expert support. If you knew how to do it, you'd be doing it already. If you're sick, you go to a doctor. If you need legal help, you go to a lawyer. If you need accounting help, you go to an accountant. There's absolutely no reason that you shouldn't get support from an expert when you're looking to bring out the best performance in your team. You also need strategic tools. Now, these could be off-the-shelf tools, but they can also be tools that you build in-house, customized to suit your team, connecting people together and giving people those clear step-by-step guidelines, making sure that the development of the systems is actually there in-house. You need consistent application. A video. It has to go again and again and again. Doing something once doesn't work. How to set up? Structure. You start with structure. What is your staffing plan? What are your workflow processes? What are your daily routines? And above all else, what is your filing looking like? Then you drill down into roles with a position agreement, with daily routines, and then you start documenting those routines. You do that by planning out the steps, by setting up instruction manuals, and by making recorded videos. And then you put all of that in an automated system. You need to then go ahead and work on accountability to making sure that people are using those systems. Make sure that your accountability does not look like this, but it looks like this, checking in remotely. It means making sure you are tracking, but you're doing it in such a way that you're offering rewards and support so that everyone in your team is happy. And then you need to maintain those systems like a car. It's time to update. Have routines that go through, I will be finished on time, David. Have routines to make sure that you are going through and checking those systems, making sure that everyone knows what they have to do because the instructions they're working from are up to date. We do this in 3 ways, and this really is my bring it home point here. We do this in 3 ways. We go through and in the day-to-day, we maintain those systems. As we're using them, we fix up those little glitches and we make them better. Then we have regular times for maintenance when we check in with them annually or biannually and make sure those instructions work. Then every now and then you pull them apart and do a big makeover. The benefits are simple: team certainty, sustainable expansion, lifestyle choices, and a proven system where you'll have clients lined up at the door. You'll have money rolling in like a money tree, and you'll have a team that is truly engaged, and above all else, a proven system that will make you really free in your business. I call that a freedom machine, and that's what I help people build. Now, if you want to get started, like I said, the most important thing to do is to organize your structure, and that starts with your filing. Your filing relies on you having business categories set up, and so to do that in your filing makes the most sense. And so I've created a little download. It's called Online Filing Tour, and what you get there is a little video walkthrough of my filing system, plus you get a checklist that will show you exactly how to set up your unique filing system to start off that structure part of building the processes in your business to unlock the value in your team and unlock the value in your business. Thank you, David.
You are amazing. Who'd love to, Carrie Ann, do a show of hands in the screen? Some ridiculous energy there. My goodness. She's like one of those ever-ready bunnies. That's amazing. Awesome, Carrie Ann. Thank you very much for sharing all of that. The photos were amazing. We got your whole life's journey in 20 minutes, including some information about how to grow. Look, I'm very mindful of time. We've got 3 minutes to go, and I know that there's been some pretty engaged people on this call. I'm going to recommend 3 things. If you need any help with your web marketing, reach out to Craig. Craig is the guy who's been in this business for nearly since the Ark. He knows his stuff. If you want to talk to Tom about tech, he's here too. You can reach out to him directly. You can find him on Google. You can do lots of different things. You can download his book. If you want to get anything from Carrie Ann, she has got an amazing website with all these bits and pieces, but certainly that filing system is a great place to start. And I think, even people who have filing systems on their computer, it doesn't look like a mess to try and get them to find something, and it's just hidden. So I think, we had some amazing information this morning, didn't we? Thumbs up if you got some good value out of today. I got a couple of slides I'd like to finish with. My first one is this one. This guy, Jim Rohn. Who knows Jim Rohn? Can I just get a show of hands for those people who are familiar with this guy? He was one of my favorite business philosophers when I started in business. And he said one thing to me. He said, never wish life were easier. Wish you were better. And that stuck with me forever. Because everything we've talked about today is not about which way the market is going. It's all about how do you become a better you? How do you become a better you in marketing? How do you become a better you in your technology, leverage, and just the energy that we got out of Carrie Ann was amazing. And my second quote that I love is Bruce Lee, one of my other favorite philosophers, who says, knowing is not enough, we must apply. And we got some great info out of today. And I think everyone agrees we've got some useful inspiration and some very specific advice that we can use. But if we don't use it, it's worth 0. And I'm a big fan of getting stuff done. So if you walk away from this call with only one thing, it should be a list of 1, 2, or 3 action items that you will take as a result of investing 90 minutes with us. Don't just say that was awesome. Let us know specifically what it is you're going to do differently as a result of today, what actions you're going to take to make a difference in your world, and make sure that you get some value out of today's presentation. So I'd like to, first of all, acknowledge our 3 presenters. So let's give them a nice round of applause for their awesome presentations today. If you'd like to make contact with them, you can either put something into the chat box or you can reach them directly. They've all given you their contact details. Please reach out to these guys. They're there to help you. They're not there just because they're pretty faces. They're there to actually help you grow your business and to actually make sure that you can improve your value proposition. So on that note, it's right on 10:30 and some people have got very tight time frames. They're back to back. So I'm going to say thank you very much for your time and your attention this morning. I hope you got some great value out of today. I really appreciate you coming in and sharing your life stories with us. And let's see if we can get some value into today. So thanks, guys, very much for your time.